In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, Amen. I apologize. We had some difficulties with our internet connection. But to continue our lecture series, our second part of the family and patience in the family, according to Saint Paisios of the Holy Mountain. Today we will talk about the faith-filled wife. And someone came up to St. Paisios and said, "Gerunda, a wife was abandoned by her husband who took their only child and now has relations with not just one woman, but with two women." She asked, "What should she do?" And St. Paisios turns around and says, "Tell her to be patient, and to be patient as much as she can. Tell her to pray, and to be kind. She should wait. She herself should not break up the marriage." And he said, "There once was a man who abused his wife. He treated her so badly. But she faced all this with patience and kindness until she died at a very young age. When they exhumed her body, a sweet fragrance was coming from the grave. Everyone there was so surprised and puzzled at the smell of this beautiful fragrance that was coming from the grave. You see, the elder said, she had lived her life with forbearance, and she was rewarded in the other life. She was rewarded with paradise. There's another case that St. Paisios recalled. There was a young worldly fellow who fell in love with such a beautiful girl. But this girl was so spiritual. She lived a spiritual life. In order to make her like him, he tried too to live a spiritual life. And they got married. But years later, the husband returned to his worldly life because the spiritual life was too hard for him. Even though they had 3 grown children, one boy was in college, 2 younger girls, one in middle school and one in high school, he continued to live a life like the prodigal son. He squandered, or rather he owned a large company and made lots of money, most of which he squandered with a rich lifestyle. His poor wife held the home together by being frugal and kept the children on the right path by giving them love and sound advice. She never spoke badly about their father, as she didn't want to traumatize them or influence them. When he came home late at night, she would make up excuses for him. She would tell them that he had to work late in order to provide food, clothing, and a house for them to live in. But in the middle of the day, when he would come home with some girlfriend of his, what excuse could she give the children? So, what did this godless man do, who didn't deserve to be called a human, he said, as he had no humanity about him? Do you know what he would do? He would call ahead of time to tell his wife, "Prepare a meal. I'm bringing my girlfriend home." So the mother would tell the children that their father was on their way home and he was picking up one of her girlfriends from her childhood as she prepared the meal. And the poor mother received them with kindness, giving the children the impression that the girlfriend was one of her friends. And their father had stopped by their house. The father had stopped by, picked her up, and brought her for lunch. The father did not hesitate to behave inappropriately, even in his own home. The mother made sure that the children never saw this and always hid the actions of the father away from the children. And this happened so frequently with so many different women that the children began to ask their mother, "Mother, how many friends do you have?" And she would reply, "Oh, these are my friends ever since I was a little girl of a young age up until now." She would never give them the right answer. In the meantime, her husband began to abuse her physically and treat her worse than the servant that they had. Just think of that mother and what she had to endure day in and day out while serving not to humans, the father and the girlfriend, but rather to beasts, as St. Paisios called them, who dishonored the Christian home. And still, she constantly tried to instill good thoughts in their children. And it wasn't as if she knew that this would soon be over, so as to say, "I'll be patient and find some consolation." This situation went on for so many years, but because of this deplorable man had given many rights to the devil, it was only to be expected that he would be under the terrible demonic influences. He was like a demented man who had no control over his own self. And he found fault in everything and everyone else around him. And one day, as he was driving like a madman, drunk with carnal passions, he lost control of his car and fell into a ditch. The car was totaled, and he was seriously injured. He was transferred to the hospital, and after a long recovery, was brought home, a crippled. While he was home, lying in bed, crippled, not one of these girlfriends that he showered lavishly with so many gifts would come near him, for he was no longer rich. And his face was badly deformed. The good wife, however, continued to take care of him without reminding him of his prodigal past. And this moved him profoundly and transformed him once again spiritually. He sincerely repented, asked to go to confession, and he lived a few years in a Christian way with inner peace. And he finally reposed in the Lord. And after his death, his son took over the business and provided for his family. The children lived in harmony and love because they had received a good foundation from their good mother. Now, that mother was a true heroine. She was a true act of what it was to mean to sacrifice oneself and to show what true love is. She held the family together secretly. She even saved her husband and gathered heaven for him and for herself. And the elder continued to tell those gathered by saying, God will certainly place this woman in the best mansion in paradise. He went on to talk about children from broken homes. When someone said, when the husband has some serious passion, acknowledges his fault, confesses but still under the influence of his passions, and tells his wife, I'm causing you and the children a lot of pain. Maybe it would be better if I went away, so you are no longer troubled by me, and I will send you money from wherever I am. What should the wife do? If the husband truly believes what he's saying, this means that he has much philotimo, and the wife should try to be patient. But of course, it's better not to believe what she hears too readily. She ought to look deeper into this. You see, sometimes the husband may say, I should go away and not trouble you, with an assumed nobility of spirit. But in reality, he just wants to go away and be with another woman. Nowadays, he says, the way it's been degraded, marriage has lost its meaning. Families break up for the slightest reason. Not long ago, St. Paisios tells them, a disoriented man came to me in my Kalivi. He had fathered 2 children with a girlfriend. Then he married someone else, had a child with her, and then he divorced her. Then he married another woman, who also he divorced, but yet had 2 children from her. And then there was a third one that he had. So he had 2 more children. As he was relating this information to me, I had to say, now hold on. Just how many mothers and how many fathers do these children have? Because this poor man was now confusing St. Paisios. And this is how these poor children are tormented and driven to destruction. Children who are sensitive and unable to get over the problems because they're imposed by their parents' lifestyle, fall into despair, and sometimes, unfortunately, they're driven, he says, to commit suicide. Others turn to alcohol in order to forget their problems, while others get involved with drugs. And where do they find the money? The smallest dose of heroin costs 400,000 drachmas. The larger dose is 6,000 or 7,000 drachmas. And don't forget, this is said now back in 1990, when St. Paisios was still alive. These children are the result of a previous generation. Wild ways. I wonder too, he says, what will become of the younger children who are products of the automatic divorce? This past summer, a lot of young men who were taking drugs came by my Kalivi to see me, and most of them were all from broken homes. It's terrible to see them in such a situation, at the age of 27, asking for help. And you know, you can spot these children from a broken home miles away, he tells us. At the Kalivi, St. Paisios kept lucumia, Greek jelly-like sweets, easily available. And when these children would come, they grab the sweet, then they run, kiss him, thank him. And he said, I would be covered from head to toe, full of sugar from the lucumia. Love and affection had been missing from their lives. For these children, whether they have parents or not, is all the same to them. It makes no difference for them if the father is coming or going. It doesn't matter if he's home or not. For them, it's all the same. They thirst for love. They thirst for affection. They thirst for attention. St. Paisios talks about this in 1990. Today, it's the year 2021. 31 years later, and in 31 years, the world hasn't changed. The children still cry out from broken homes. They still cry out for affection, attention, love. But yet, it's not even from a broken home that they cry. It's even from a home that they have here. So on that note, I conclude today's lecture, and we carry on tomorrow with part 3. Amen.